It's personal to me. I grew up in a house with domestic violence. If my mother had a basic income, she could have left, or at least there would have been a different power dynamic in the house, known from someone who has options. How many people in society are in that kind of situation, whether it's even in the workplace or other areas that they cannot escape? So a bit about me. I run an 8-figure global business. We help software engineers adopt new technologies and practices. I've started businesses in 5 different countries. I love Canada. And I'm also the founder of UBI Works, which organized this event. We would like to have all of your help. Sign up at the table, add your email, because we're going to build an activist network that will make UBI a defining election issue in 2023. That is our mission. That's why we exist.
Yes. Get it across the line.
Yes.
So I want to share with you some of the things that I've learned that have brought me to become a CEO activist for basic income. I think we're all vulnerable. Technology created the middle class, and now it's destroying it. And the basic income is how we can secure the middle class and expand it for everyone. Everyone can have a middle class way of life, not in terms of having a 2-car garage, but in terms of having the ability to make long-term plans, the ability to afford healthy food, the ability to not worry, the absence, hundreds of millions of billions of fearful thoughts that are absent in the year of any Canadian. What can that mind share be put towards instead? So we've seen wages have not budged at all in 40 years, since computers and robotics hit the scene in the mid-70s. Meanwhile, productivity has been increasing. Businesses can do more with less. In the last 40 years, we have seen the bottom half of us lose 30% of the share of national income. That's 30% less prosperity for almost everyone, while the top 1% has gained 52% of the share of national income. This one reason alone is why I think we should have a basic income. It's more about economic opportunity, maintaining something that, frankly, we have lost. In that time, 4 million manufacturing jobs were lost in the United States, including more than 300,000 in Canada. Many would blame trade, but in fact, it's been proven that 6 times more jobs were lost to automation than trade. So if there's one thing you remember from this talk is that job displacement, automation causes job displacement, and job displacement means lower wages. Like what happened to my father and uncle, who were in the Ontario's automotive manufacturing sector. When China hit the scene in the 2000s, it caused a lot of competition. And my father told me that the manufacturers that remained, like half of them all went out of business. The ones that remained were the ones that had to automate to stay competitive. And what happened? My dad had to retire, and my uncle is a superintendent in a rental building. And what happened to manufacturing will be happening to banking, to legal, to truck drivers, call center workers, retail, and it's coming fast because the technologies that are being developed today are going to move at an exponential pace, much more than before. So I'll tell you honestly, I'm not worried about a future with no jobs. It's nice to use that to get, to cause some controversy, but in fact, I'm worried more about the past playing out in the future, which is more and more low-income jobs and no middle-class jobs, because that's what's already been happening. Why would you think it'll change when you have 40 years of history to look at? So automation can disrupt the labor market even if it creates more jobs, because there'll be more low-income jobs. And that's why we're in the situation now, after the longest period of economic expansion in history, and wages still haven't been moving up. What the hell is going on? When someone's job is displaced, they spend a lifetime building up a skill. And then their job no longer exists. It's not that they got fired. The whole category of work no longer exists. They have to go back to the bottom of the skills pile and compete with everyone there, which lowers wages even more. That's what happened to the Luddites. Some of you have heard this term, the Luddites, people who were anti-technology. They weren't anti-technology, they were skilled textile makers who then had to go on subsistence wages because they were displaced like 400 or 500 years ago. And that's been happening again and again and again. And because we haven't had a basic income, we haven't had the means for people whose jobs were displaced to find a stable and dignified transition to something else. So humans have simply been less valuable in the production cycle of almost anything in the last 40 years. This is called the great decoupling of wages from productivity. Look it up. It's a good thing to understand if you want to advocate for basic income effectively. Automation has led us to the situation we're in now, which is I deem as winner-takes-all economics. We're in a situation of winner-takes-all economics. So I see universal basic income both as an income floor, but also as a dividend that everyone gets as the alternate form, as a way that we make winner-takes-all economics work for all of us. So I would argue that if you talk about automation or why we need UBI, it's not about the future of artificial intelligence. You need a UBI now to get your share in a winner-takes-all economics, to get your share of the benefits of automation and globalization. You need it now because the speed of disruption coming will be exponential. You need it now because wealth inequality is strangling the economy. How much more economic growth would we have if no one was poor and could fully participate? How many more entrepreneurs would we have if everyone had the freedom to take risks? Like myself, I bought an income property with my life savings in my mid-20s, and that gave me the confidence, it gave me the absence of fear to start a business 2 years later. If I didn't have that sense of security at that time, maybe I would have started 2 years later. I would have been crushed by the 2008 crisis. Timing matters. You should jump on your idea when you have it. We need to encourage people to have the means to do that. We need UBI now because it'll secure the middle class and expand it for everyone, eliminating working poverty. No one who's working should be in poverty. We need it now so you can have psychological safety, so we can be above basic needs, so we can tackle much bigger problems that we have, like climate change. How can someone vote progressively when they're worried about what they're going to eat tomorrow and they're being scared by like jobs? So I think UBI is like the first pivotal shift to actually unlock the human heart and unlock us to be able to take on much bigger challenges that we have. And the final nerdy thing I'm going to say is that if wages were held harmless from displacement from productivity since the mid-70s, if wages had gone up with productivity, like they were for like 30, 40 years during the golden age of capitalism, before computers, before robotics, before email, when people were more needed in the production cycle, if wages kept going up in that way with productivity, your wages would all be on average 50% higher today. So imagine you could make 50% more money if the share of automation was distributed in a slightly different way, and a basic income will get us almost all the way there, I think, depending on how it's designed, or you could be working maybe 50% less and have the same income. None of those things have happened because the gains have all gone to the top. Would we even have a housing crisis if we had 50% more income? Would we have all these other crises that we have? So we are fundamentally in an economy that is winner takes all, and that's what needs to be fought, and basic income is the first step. Thank you very much.